You're listening to I Love It When, and I'm your host, Mo. I'm a speaker, coach, and connector. You're in the right place if you're looking for some inspiration and you're ready to truly embrace who you are. My intention with this podcast is to help you see that you are so much more powerful than you realize. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of I Love It When. This is your host, Mo, and this is a really unique episode in so many different ways. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see that I'm in my casual chair today because my goal is to really be comfortable, and I'm going to let my good friend, Kristin Wise, run the show today. So going back to the first episode with EnMay Mangels, one of the things she said to me actually right before we recorded that episode was, you need to bring somebody on to interview you. And I was like, what? Why? And she said, somebody needs to ask you questions. And so I've just kind of kept that in mind. And she said, you'll know the right time. And so I felt like that time had finally come. And so I asked Kristin, because we've known each other now for 4 years?
Yeah.
And we've really gotten to know each other both personally and professionally. And so I felt like she could address all sorts of random questions. And then we're also going to talk about friendship after this. And so these next two episodes, you guys, you're going to be jam-packed. And let me tell you too, Kristin also introduced me to the pop filter.
Pop filters are so nice.
And I can't even tell you I'm just ready to obviously have fun. I have a dress on. I have some roses in the background. I got my favorite crystals. I got 2 bottles of water. Thanks to Kristin.
I'm feeling salty.
Kristin's feeling salty. So Kristin, tell them, if you haven't seen Kristin's episode, go back and watch that. But so much has also changed since you were on the podcast. So share a little bit about who you are for those that don't know you at all.
Hey, I'm Kristin. So I used to be a nonprofit executive and burnt myself to a crisp with overworking, people pleasing, not setting boundaries, not paying attention to wellness, yada, yada, yada. Ended up quitting life. And by that, I mean sold my house, sold my car, sold everything, and quit my career track and just went back to school and healed myself. And now I help people with burnout all over the world. Specifically, I found a sweet spot in membership. I really enjoy offering options to keep consistent and keep wellness, even when you're like, I can't add another thing to my plate. Like, yeah, you can add 2 minutes and you deserve it. So that's what's up with me. But I am excited to take the reins and talk all about you. And yeah, Mo was right. This is going to be a different kind of episode. So we may or may not swear in this episode. So please.
Most likely, yes.
Please keep that in mind. You have been warned. Yes, we both have pop filters, so we sound super delicious for y'all. And
So delicious.
I'm looking forward to asking you lots of questions. And now I will let the audience know, if you are someone who watches this or listens to this podcast every week, every time it's offered, every time it's dropped, this is going to be a little different because I'm not as good as Margaret is about asking questions, but we're going to try to
she's teasing you all. She's really good.
No, I'm not really good. But
to have someone interview me who's an intuitive like you, yeah, questions are going to drop that we don't expect right now, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I am excited for it too. Okay, let's get started. I gotta get all official about it. Let's get started. Mo or Margaret, depending on what mood you're in. Tell us what led you to start I Love It When, because yeah, what's behind the name? What started you to lead it? How did you make this I'm gonna ask you all 3 questions in one.
Okay. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
I think it was a combination of burnout, so a little bit like what you experienced, and the end of my real estate career, I say career in real estate was 8 years, but it felt like longer. The last 4 years I was there, one of the things you learn when you run a small business or when you're in that industry, is you know how to run a small business. And I didn't realize that before. So that's one of the blessings from that job. And so I just recognized more and more how much I wanted to do things my way. And I'm also just a very stubborn person. And when I believe in a way that something should be done, and when I'm saying that, it's done with love. And so when I see things that are not done with love, I want to do them with love. And so the more I said that and gave that feedback, the more I realized, you know what? I think this means I'm supposed to own my own business. But when I tell you I did not have a plan, I did not have a plan. It wasn't like I was sitting there for 2 years thinking I'm going to start my own company. No, it kind of all happened in a matter of minutes. Like I was on a phone call with my boss, and yeah, even now telling the story, I'm like, I should really talk about this more. Why you're here,
That's
Margaret?
why
Why
that's
you're
why we're
here?
here. Shout out to EnMay Mangels.
Yeah. I was on the phone and it was, like a month after COVID started, and my boss and I were having a hard conversation. And one of the things I really appreciated about him was he helped me be able to have those hard conversations by sticking it out with me and really learning how to have hard conversations alongside me. And so we were talking and I said, "You know what? I think I'm not actually doing you any favors by sticking around right now. Like, I think if I continue, I don't want my energy and my attitude to soak up with the other team members. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. I think it's time for me to go." And I did not have a plan. I wasn't like, this is, I thought maybe I'll get hired by someone else, maybe something, but I just knew that right then it had to end. And so we made a graceful exit of a 6-week plan, but it all happened within about 5 minutes.
Wow.
I think
And
something just channeled through me. I think my soul was like, hey, this is the moment and you'll figure it out. And that is not me. If anybody knows me, I'm a freaking planner to a T. But I
you
think
didn't
I was just so done.
you didn't feel any fear.
And in that moment, no.
Oh my God, me neither.
Okay.
That's wild though, but
What does that mean?
that is crazy. It was like, nope, I don't care, don't need it,
Yes.
don't, I'll figure
Yes.
it out. I literally do not care. If I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. I gotta do it right now.
Exactly. Exactly. My whole
Wow.
body, I just remember for the first time realizing, like, oh, I think this is my soul speaking because my whole body was like, no.
Whoa. I guess I
Yeah.
didn't know that. That's really amazing. So
See,
then
I don't
where
think I share this shit unless somebody asks me. I don't
yeah,
think I think about it.
and we got swear count number one. Boom. In the books. Okay, but then how did you call it I love it when? Like what made you decide to like name your business?
GoDaddy.com did.
Oh, oh,
So I
did
was
they?
literally like in those 6 weeks that I planned, it was about the end of May. So we
Uh,
planned my July 10th would be my end date. So that gave
okay.
me a full month and a couple weeks. And I just about a weekend was like, okay, let me go to GoDaddy.com and see what's available. And I thought about naming it BU because I've been such a proponent of that. But all of those things were taken. And I just sat there for probably like 30 minutes, like playing with stuff. And then I was like, you know what? Let me go look at my wall that I've been writing all over for the last 2 months. And I went into my bedroom and I looked up and I was like, oh my God, I love it when. And I went back and I love it when.com was taken, but .org was there. And it was such a absolute yes again in my body that I was
Mm,
like, this is it. Because immediately I could see in my head, I love it when t-shirts, I could see I love it when marketing campaigns, I could see all the different ways in which I could use it. And I have such a deep connection to that phrase because EnMay gave it to me, like that I was like, this is just a hell yes. Absolutely.
oh my
So
gosh.
I bought it that day.
And like I think that that's something too, right? Is like not overthinking. I
Yes.
think sometimes it can be so
Oh my
easy to
God.
like overthink ourselves to death into like, well, what should I name it? What should my color schemes be? And it's
Hell
like
yes.
decisions like this are made
Yes.
in mere
And that's
moments.
like, I was just saying this to a coaching client yesterday, and you and I talk about this all the time. As a previous overthinker, one of the first things I've learned is to believe myself.
Mm,
That was like a baby step. Like once I started to say, you know what, I'm going to just believe that my imagination is actually telling me the truth. And let me just see where it takes me. And once you start that, all of a sudden you realize, like a hamster on the wheel, how much you were just going, going, going. And because you start trying to filter in everybody else's opinions and just doesn't work, doesn't help.
So what's changed from now, from when you started back in August 2020, for anybody who doesn't know? So you're
Oh my
saying this all
gosh.
happened in July, but then you like officially incorporated, you're an LLC, you're like the
Yeah.
real deal. So
Hmm.
what's changed from then till now?
I feel like a completely different person. And I think the best way to sum it up is actually something that Enmay said to me at my last meeting with her like 6 months ago. She said, this is almost like when you left Pickett Street. And I said, what? And she said, your entire business is now, you are now like running it with energy and with spirit. This is like when I first started, I was starting to dive more into my intuition and yes, start to incorporate energy and learned about Reiki from you and all these different things, but it wasn't a part of my business.
Hmm.
Now it is fully integrated with me. It is all of me and my business is in alignment with that. So we are one and the same.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we chatted very briefly offline about this, and I think that this is a great story to tell
Yeah.
about someone who has known you for a long time, who had known you in this, TC real estate kind
Yeah.
of,
Admin world.
right. And then
Hmm.
watching you make this transition in your business, because I think from what you're alluding to from the very start is that you were like still had your toe very much in that world still, and
Yeah.
just doing it on your own. And now that's completely pivoted, and they said, how long is this gonna, like, and I'm paraphrasing, but like this
Hmm.
person said, like, how long is this phase gonna last, pretty much? And you were
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
and I love your answer to it. So would you mind sharing that with us a little bit
Yeah,
about
no,
that?
not at all. It was an interesting question, and it really helped me to recognize that one, I needed to talk about this more,
Hmm.
and two, that there was a distinct change happening. And so my answer was, this is me. Like this is not a phase, this is me. And I can't imagine, I mean, it wouldn't happen. I wouldn't, if somebody said to me, like, I want to work with you, I want to collaborate with you, but we got to leave this part out, I would say, no, thank you, because
Okay.
this is a part of me. And so I think what happens oftentimes with spirituality, religion, faith, all these things that we can't see is they've been so skewed by humans. And so people have really poor experiences oftentimes with them. And so they can't differentiate between the experience that they've had and maybe the part of it that they really resonate with. They're just kind of all enmeshed. And so when that happens, sometimes people have a negative reaction to me talking about the unseen or talking about spirit or talking about how I'm led by my intuition. Um, yeah, and so I'm okay with that now. I think in the beginning, one of the reasons why I didn't integrate it right away was because I was worried of how people would react, and would I
Hmm.
be outcast? Would I not have any clients? Would people choose not to be friends with me, or would family members choose to not speak to me anymore? And then I recognized, like, by doing it though, by integrating fully, I'm so happy and I'm so myself that if those people can't support me in that space, then we're not meant to be in each other's lives. And
Hmm.
so yeah.
Have
Yeah, it
you
was
experienced some
interesting.
of that though? Have you experienced some of that already?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say it doesn't seem like it's directly connected to me and my spirituality, but I think it's a result of me diving more and integrating more fully. Uh, the more I'm myself, the more some people fade away for different reasons. Like they might say it was because of when I got together with my partner Tom, or when different things happened in my life. But all of that, me getting together with Tom, is totally a spiritual thing.
Yeah,
So
for
it's like,
sure.
yeah, all these things have absolutely, I think people have fallen away in all sorts of ways. But the cool thing is too, when things fall away energetically, it literally makes space for something new. So then I meet new people who actually support me, who love all of me, who have no judgment. So that's the really cool thing, is to remember that when things are falling off in your life, that you are literally making space for something new.
Mm. And
Hmm.
so you decided to integrate this part of you into your business so fully because you just couldn't deny it. Like, like some
Oh
people,
yeah.
like, give me, like, like, I want to use the example of like people love rock climbing, but they don't necessarily
Yes,
integrate that into their business. So
totally.
what made you want to integrate it into your business and what you do, instead of
It's a
just
great
having it be
question.
something that's like interest
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm an energy healer on the side.
Right.
Uh, I love the truth. I love
Hmm.
the truth. And the truth to me feels like pure love. And so if I'm not being totally truthful about how I've gotten to where I am and how I'm doing what I'm doing, I'm not serving people, and it feels out of integrity for me. And this is part of my secret sauce. Part of my secret sauce is tapping into my intuition and my true self, and everybody can do it. So if I'm not talking about it, I feel like I'm doing a disservice.
Okay. So how
Hmm.
do you define spirituality then? What is that? And like what if someone is super religious? Like,
Yeah,
can they not work with you because you're spiritual? Like what does all of this mean?
that's a fantastic question. I know I welcome all people from all walks of life, as long as they have. I mean, I think when you choose to work with me, you must be an open-minded person. So I don't care what religion you are, what denomination. To me, spirituality truly means tapping into the energy that's around us, the energy in the earth, the energy from our lineage, the energy, like what you and I say all the time, energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transferred. And so it's all of the unseen. So like I think when you get into specifics in certain religions, that's when I start to recognize what I do and don't disagree with, what I do and don't agree with, because a lot of that has been shaped by men, and specifically
Mm,
men, but humans. And so when you mess with that, you oftentimes things have been shaped, and especially in our Western culture, by people who are not healed entirely, who are not aware entirely. And so they create things for the benefit of themselves. And that's the result of it. And so that's why to me, I think when you are able to connect to people on a soul level, you'll see that energy that I feel about my spirituality is the same energy that someone else carries, and they could be Jewish, they could be
mm.
anything. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think, I'm being reminded of a time like when we very first met, you and I,
Hmm.
right? And you were
Hmm.
taking my classes and stuff. And like one of your biggest questions or like concerns at that time, now this is back when you very first started your business, you
Yeah.
had just like opened the doors and you were a little nervous about the unseen. Like you were a little nervous about
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, am I inviting in like
Hmm.
demons
Hmm.
or something yucky? Like what the heck? You know what I mean? Like, and so even I think your understanding and awareness of spirituality has definitely shifted. So like
Hmm.
for someone who's listening, who's going, yeah, I don't want to deal with like ghosts or spirits or whatever the
Yeah.
spirit thing is that you're calling it,
Yeah.
like what would you say to someone who's like nervous about, they're like, I don't want to do anything witchy, like I'm
Hmm.
not into, I'm drawn to you, want to work with you, love your business model,
Yeah.
not into all this weird stuff. Like that freaks me out, makes me nervous. What would you say to them?
This is exactly why I asked you to interview me, because these are the kind of questions you ask. Just FYI, everybody, and you. I could talk about this shit for days, and
Okay.
I also think it's really important for people to hear me talk about it.
Mm,
Um, I think so. One of the things I realized before as I was going through personal growth, starting back in like 2012, really, when I started personal development in a different way, one of the things I recognized about myself is that if I have some sort of fear about something, I turn to face it head on, because
that's
I'm tired of being afraid. I'm just tired of it, exhausted by it. Like I don't want to deal with those feelings anymore. I don't want to deal with my body being all tense. I don't want to deal with not being able to sleep, having to sleep with the night light on. I'm fucking over it. I'm over it. And so that's what I did with spirituality. So I had that same kind of idea of like, and at one time I'll remember I played with a Ouija board with two friends back when we were probably in fifth grade. And one of the girls was definitely, I got like witchy vibes from her, but not good witchy vibes. Like she wanted to tap into dark energy. And I was like,
mm,
that's not me. So I remember getting up and leaving the room that day and being like, well, this is not what I want. And so that was part of the reason between that experience and a couple others, and then lots of TV and movies that show the unseen as something to be afraid of. Between all of that, I was like, well, this must not be for me. And so I just kind of shut off that curiosity. But then the curiosity kept coming back to me in all of these loving ways, through people who read fairy cards, through people who uh, it was all about love and about compassion and about things that I fully believe in. And so that gave me the courage to once again start to explore that area. And I recognized all the ways in which I've been conditioned to turn away from it, because ultimately if you turn away from yourself, it's the easiest way to be controlled. And so I believe that if we all start to turn inward, we will find more peace, more fulfillment, and we won't be so easy to control in all sorts of different ways. And so the more I leaned in and the more I looked fear in the face, the more I realized I didn't have anything to be afraid of. And so I think that's been one of the most empowering things is when people start to work with me, they realize, number one, I don't force you to do anything. If there's
no
ever
howling at
anything,
the no howling at the moon naked or anything like that.
no, no, thank you. Yeah. I'm
All
not going to
right,
ask
cool.
you to
Just want to
like,
make sure.
yeah, I'm not going to ask you to give me your firstborn child. Like nothing, nothing. But what I'll do is I'll suggest like meditation. I'll
Hmm.
suggest affirmations. I'll suggest things where you start to tap into yourself. And the more people trust me, the more I think they realize where I'm coming from, and they trust me on such a deep level that then they're willing to then, let's say, have an energy healing session, or do a meditation where they ask for messages, or get an oracle card reading, or read their own oracle cards, and do these things that I think have been demonized by people who have been conditioned. Like the people who are demonizing these things is because they've had negative things happen to them, and they've been
Hmm.
conditioned to believe that these are all tools that are evil, or things that are going to do evil things to us. And it's just not true. And I think that's one of the most empowering things that I've learned from several different teachers, including yourself. When I learned this, it changed the game. We have free will, and we have power over energy. So if we're ever, and this has never happened to me, mind you, in all this time that I've been doing this, I have never interacted with an energy that wasn't loving. And so, but if I
Mm,
ever did, I know that I have complete power over it to say, get out of my space.
that's
And when I
true.
learned that, I was like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can sleep a lot more easily now. And I can also recognize the tools that I have around me to cleanse my energy, to keep myself safe. But there's also nothing to be afraid of. Like, I don't need to keep myself safe. And that's been
Yeah.
really empowering.
So if I'm reading between the lines, you're saying that spirituality to you is a way to get deeper in touch with your authentic self, your soul, that part of you, and that's why it's so incorporated into your business because that's the root of
Mhm.
what you do.
That is the most beautiful and eloquent way I think anybody could ever say it. Yes.
Spirit's giving it to me. Yep, yep,
I'm
yep.
gonna let me pause and write that down because I need to put that on my website.
I
Yes, a
yeah, I
thousand
think
percent.
you know what? I mean, we've had 500 million thousand conversations about this, and I don't think I've
Mhm.
ever understood it the way that I'm understanding it right now here
Well,
talking with you
shit.
right now because I'm
Okay.
like, "Oh, okay, I get it." Like spirituality for you is just getting closer and closer to the center of the onion because like
Yes.
onion people are layers that you can pull them apart, but
Hmm.
spirituality helps
Hmm.
you get quiet from the outside world and tap
Hmm.
more
Hmm.
into being you, being
Hmm.
authentic, getting that
Yeah.
real secret sauce, that real
Yeah.
everything that you do.
Yeah.
This makes
And I feel
so
like when we
much
get to the
sense.
center of the onion there, and when we tap into ourselves, that's when all of a sudden we can connect with each other. And that's where I
Mm,
believe peace can come. I truly believe that by helping people be themselves, peace, peace.
talk about
Yes.
it. Yes. You and I, this is one of the reasons why we're friends is because we both have that common goal of like, but we're actually here for world peace. Like all this other
Hmm.
stuff is great, but like we're actually here for world peace. And
Yes.
I think that's beautiful because, yeah, when you are more vulnerable, when you're more yourself, that's when people can really see you. And that's when we can start shifting our world. Vulnerability, I think,
Hmm.
is a huge piece in it. And this is like
Hmm.
the work that you do.
Hmm. Hmm.
I love it. Yay. Okay, so let's talk now about a little bit about energy healing
Hmm.
because this is different from spirituality, but I think some people think it's the same thing. So can you tell
True.
me the difference between like spirituality and like which we've now gotten to like I feel like we've drilled it way down. All right, we're at the diamond. Everyone can see it. Okay, boom. This is what spirituality is for. But then what's energy healing for?
Yeah, good question. So I think of spirituality, like I almost wonder, like the way we described it and why it's important in my business, it makes so much sense. I think of spirituality as a general like umbrella under which all these different things fall.
Ooh.
Uh, and so energy healing would be under that umbrella. And all it is, so we've talked about energy and how it can't be destroyed, it can only be moved or transferred. And so energy healing is moving energy. And
Hmm.
so I like the way that I think of it now after learning with you and learning through some other people. I'm such
Hmm.
a physical, logical person that I recognize like, okay, so my water bottle is made of energy. So if I imagine that that water bottle is represents grief or anger or frustration or sadness, if that anger or frustration or sadness gets stuck somewhere in my body, it can cause an illness. And I've seen this, I'm such a researcher too. Since I started working with you and a couple other energy healers, I've just started paying more and more attention. And I'm seeing the truth of it. I'm seeing how many people have all sorts of physical illnesses because of emotions that they have not released. And so when I started to see that and see the pattern, I can't help but that's the research. And so energy healers are just a conduit. So when I give an energy healing, I am a conduit for universal life force energy. It flows through me into the client and it helps to move that energy along, which is why sometimes people can cry when they have an energy healing. They can receive messages from people that have passed over or from fairies, butterflies, whatever. Like all sorts of magical things can happen when you're moving and working with energy, but that's all it is moving energy. That's it. You can do it yourself.
Yeah, I think it's even to this day, it's hard. Any energy healer has a hard time talking about exactly how it's done because
I've
everyone does
noticed
it
this. Yes.
so differently.
Yeah.
You know, the way that I move energy and the way that like your friend Crystal moves energy is like a
Mhm.
much different way, but it's
That's also what's so
all
beautiful.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure. And I think that it's also alchemizing. There's so many things that are part of energy healing. So did you know you were a healer? Like, did you know you were able to do this? Is this like a special gift you have? Like, tell me more about that.
I don't think I ever knew I was a healer prior. Like, I think I knew there was something that people loved about being in my presence, but I
Mm-hmm.
just thought it was because I was nice. And so it wasn't until I started to learn more about energy, and I'm trying to think of like the first time I ever heard about energy, and it might have been from Anise Kavanaugh when we read her
Ah.
book on the team Contagious Culture. I knew about energy before then. I think I called it energy, but when she described it, I was like, oh my God, yes, that's what I do. And
Mm,
so, and then the more I started to get to know healers, that's when I learned that term healer. And I recognized, oh, wow, okay, no, I am a healer. Now I recognize I'm doing something when I'm with people. Uh, but and then I really had to accept it and like own it. And that took a little while.
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Um, oh, I just had like the best question and then it just like left me. I hate when that
Ooh,
happens. That's
that
the
sucks.
word. That sucks so bad. This is the ASMR portion of this
Oh my God,
podcast.
I've been so excited for this part.
This is the part that you've all been waiting for.
Oh my God, it's so exciting.
Go night night. Just kidding. Don't. Um, what was I gonna say? I guess it's
It was about
not
energy
meant.
healing.
Yeah.
You said,
Mm,
have I always known I was a healer?
mm-hmm. It was something to do with that.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll come back to me. Woohoo! Um, all right, so tell me, you know what one of my most fun things, well, there's a million fun things. Oh, I think it was actually something now I think I'm remembering. I'm so sorry. I hope we can edit this out, and if not, enjoy the chaos. Enjoy the fucking chaos. It was something about you saying that, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. These are the two things I wanted to say.
Okay,
So about you said like, oh, I just thought it was nice that people liked to be around me. These aren't questions, they're comments.
bring it on.
Surprise, surprise, everybody. I will say that I find myself very sensitive to energy, probably way more than the average person. I know you do as well. But like the first time I ever met you in person, like, so the first time I met you in general, I was like, oh my gosh, something is so special about this girl. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, she's super special, right? But then I met you in person and I was like, it was like a cosmic blast.
I don't
I
think
talk
I'll ever
about,
forget your face. Yeah, that was.
I talk about this to you all the time because I'm like, it was like Avatar. Like, I was just like,
And of course, I
what?
hadn't seen the movie Avatar for everybody listening, so I had to go look it up and go like, "Oh, wow!" And then I was deeply flattered. I was,
It was like a oh, if someone hasn't worked with you in person, like y'all don't know what you're missing, first of all, because you're just your energy is it's just so high, and I think that that's when
oh, thank
I
you.
was like, wow, you are definitely like a very important spiritual person. And I also want to say that my husband, I love when he talks about you because he says like, if you see Mo's face, you know she's got something important to say. That is who Mo is. That's how he sums you up down into it. Well, he calls you
I
Margaret,
was
but
so flattered when I heard that. I was like, "Wow!" Because for Chris to say that, I mean, that means something.
my
Yeah.
husband is a man of science. He is a different kind of person, but that is he's like, oh yeah, you look at Margaret's face, you know she's about to say something important, and everybody better shut the up and listen to her. So, those
Shout
are the
out to
things.
Chris. Thank you for that.
Shout out, by the way, he was totally practicing today. The trees and he's got his little mustache, so the tree has a
Oh
mustache.
my
Oh,
God.
brilliant! Wait till you see it. Anyway, so, okay, now back onto asking questions, staying focused. So, one of the things that I love about you, but you never, ever, ever talk about it, is your effing degree, Margaret. Like, what the heck, dude? You have this amazing education and background. You were a coach, like all this kind. Tell us about your past life here in this life. Tell us. Because this is amazing. Like, this is the stuff that like everyone's like, what?
Oh
She
my
has
God, you're too funny.
what? I'm like,
You're
perfect.
right. You're right. I don't talk about it really. Yeah, I think I have for a long time undervalued like how much work I put into learning and growing. Yeah, it's a thing. And then I realized after I got my degree, so I got my undergraduate degree, I double majored because of course got to overaccomplish, art and sociology. And it was apparently the first time anybody in my school, Pacific Lutheran University, had ever double majored in those two things. I'm like, it makes total sense to me. People and art. Duh. Like, so I did that, and then I just knew I wasn't done with school yet because I didn't know what to do. And
Okay.
so when I went to get my master's, I literally went to the University of Washington's website and I looked at all their different programs and I just picked social work because I was like, it's about people, it's super broad. And then I recognized, or I heard later on from my mom that that's actually what my grandmother got her degree in too. Funny
Love
enough.
that.
Yeah. And so social work, yeah, it was a 2-year program, went really fast, but I had an amazing amount of growth there. Like, had some really hard conversations about racism, sexism, classism, things that I had never really openly discussed in any college class before. And so it was kind of the way I was kind of shoved into learning how to talk about some really hard topics. And through
Mhm.
that, I also got to have an internship at a small nonprofit called Youth in Focus that did photography with kids. And I was there for a year, and then a year at the Veterans Hospital in Seattle, which was a game changer too. So some really interesting experiences that have totally shaped who I am. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you were also, when we were in Sedona together, doing your unscripted retreat, you were
Hmm.
talking all about your experience as a coach. Like, I'm not talking about a coach like people can hire you right now for. I'm talking about like, boom, playing sports. Tell me about that.
Yeah, yes. So I was a volleyball coach like around after college. My mom wanted to coach a middle school team, so she and I actually did it together. And then she reminded me the other day that she and I and also my brother Matt kind of coached when I was in high school a little kids basketball team. That was really
Mm.
fun. But then post college, also when I was between jobs, I coached at Northwest University here in Kirkland, Washington, and it was a college level women's volleyball team. And man, that was a whole different experience. I mean, with that at that time too, it was interesting because I was exploring all sorts of different churches around the area. And so Northwest University is a Christian college. And so here's little Margaret, not so little anymore, but thinking, oh, I'm going to go coach at this, amazing school. They're all Christian, so they're going to be they're going to be so easy to coach. They're going to be such good humans. It's going to be a fantastic experience. And it was a fantastic experience. It was also one of the hardest experiences at that time of my life. Um, because, yeah, being Christian or being spiritual doesn't mean that you've done the work. And so, obviously, college kids, there's a lot of, you're doing a lot of work at that age. You're learning a whole lot. And also, so are the adults. And so it was just that coaching experience put me out of my comfort zone in so many different ways. Um, yeah, because also one of the things that I think volleyball really taught me was how to step outside my comfort zone because I was such a shy kid in high school that to play and be out on the court in front of everyone and to be I was one of the lead players on our varsity team. And so I was a middle hitter, like doing my best to keep up. But definitely when I played out of season, I forget what it's called, but when I played on the like a select team,
Mm.
I was pushed super far to I was the bottom of the totem pole, like playing with people who had been playing for years. And so if you imagine like small fish, big pond kind of thing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that I think right there showed me that when you surround yourself with people who are doing what you want to do at a really high level, it is the fastest way to get where you want to go because I was pushed for just 2 years, but it improved my skills like probably 3x my skills.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So yeah, a lot of learning through volleyball. Like, oh my
Wow.
God. Mhm.
Yay, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you talked about that here because it's like I think it's a side of you that a lot of people are like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
She has her master's in social work. She is this, she is that." Like, yeah, you're
A lot of
multifaceted,
people
yo.
interaction. Yeah.
Mm.
Lot of learning about people through hours and hours and hours of people time.
So what's the difference between coaching a team versus the kind of coaching you do now? And what's different? What's the same?
Good question.
Oh,
Uh,
hard ball.
so
I
what's
think that's a
different
hard
and what's the
question.
same? It's an interesting one to think about. I haven't thought about that before. Uh, I think one of the main differences is I love working with people one on one. So while coaching a team of people is really cool, the one on one has always been a preference of mine because I like to go deep with people. Um, and then when you're working with a group, like coaching a team, it's a lot about collaboration and helping them to work together. And so there are a lot of different personalities to kind of interact with. And so it's good skill building for as a leader. But I feel like with small group coaching, when you're just doing it with four people or you're one-on-one coaching, uh, it's much easier to just start with on a smaller scale with fewer people. And then I would say coaching now, I'm definitely coaching to the whole person. Whereas when I was coaching a team, it was very much focused on that sport. We could talk a little bit
Mm,
about personal growth and development, but it was mostly the sport that we were focused on.
okay.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about coaching? Is that your favorite part or do you have a different favorite
Oh,
part?
I think my favorite part is helping people realize their power.
Mm,
Because I tell everybody like, I don't expect you to coach with me forever. If that happens, I'm not doing my job. Like my job is to
mm,
help you uncover enough of that onion so that you recognize where you've been conditioned and where you've been trained to think a certain way. And once I can do that, you can continue to unpeel that onion on your own. Like you can, yes, use other teachers and there's always places to go. But once you learn some of those tools, the power's in your hands. And that's what I
mm-hmm,
want people to recognize is I do a lot of work on myself. Uh, and I go get help from teachers and get more tools and stuff, but then I come back and I'm doing the work with myself just alongside everybody else.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I enrolled in coaching with you, that was the number one thing I noticed too, is that you really helped me not only get in really deep inside in myself. That wasn't an inside joke, sorry y'all. But also that you helped me have that kind of confidence. And that's when I told you, I was like, oh my gosh, you should be a confidence coach because I tell you what, like I felt so much better about myself after working with you. And I think it's launchpad so much of my life has been forever changed in the best way possible by coaching with you. So I really, and like even just hearing about the healings that you've had recently and like the fact that now all of a sudden like their life is on fire in the best way possible, like all these things that they were currently stuck in now are just opening up and freeing
Hmm.
them up. It's just the magic and the power of what you do. You're really really good at it. So
Oh, well, thank you for
just
that.
quick shout out to Mo for being amazing.
Well, I think one of the things I recognized talking about like Margaret pre coaching, pre doing the work on herself to now is I realized that's when I realized that being nice was not what was important.
Mm,
And so if I was being nice to all these different people, then how could they really tell when I was being truthful and honest with them? Because people just always thought I was being kind or nice. And so then I
mm-hmm,
recognized, oh, I don't want to be nice. I want to be kind and compassionate. And so I tell people this quite often, like when I give you a compliment or when I say something that feels validating, I'm not just saying it to say it. I'm saying
mm-hmm,
it because I actually mean it. And I've seen now enough people that I can gauge. Like I've interviewed enough people, not just through coaching, but through previous jobs, through all sorts of different things that I kind of have a gauge now. And so when I meet someone and they have a special skill, or like with you, a big part of what I loved about working with you is helping you realize like you are a unique healer and a unique teacher and you're really good at what you do. And I needed you to hear that so that you could step up and charge what you're worth. Because I always say to people, I want you to keep doing this business. I want you to keep doing the healing that you're doing because we need it in the world. And
mm-hmm,
so if healers don't continue to ask for what they're worth and make the money that they need to survive in this 3D world, it's gonna take a lot longer to heal the world. Like we need everybody to be able to survive doing this kind of work. It's that important.
Well, and I was so in the dark about what was actually going on in my own
Mhm.
life, and that you're really great at like bringing in that light and saying like, "Hey, how do you plan on staying in business if you're not going to charge
Oh.
anything ever again?" Like I'm like, "Oh my God, I guess I never thought about. I want to
Yeah.
lead with my heart." And you're like, "Okay, there's ways that we can do this
Hmm.
without needing to put yourself down." It was
Hmm.
basically another form of putting myself down, was saying, well,
Hmm.
I can't, there's so many people who need help. How am I not supposed to help drowning people around me? Da, 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 da,
Right.
da.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not in a boat and you're drowning too, then guess what? You're not able to help anybody. And
Yeah. Yeah.
now everybody drowns. So
Yeah. And
get
once I'd
yourself in a,
experienced like an energy healing from you, now I've experienced at least what, three, maybe
mm-hmm.
four. Once I
Yeah.
experienced it too, it was just validation again that I was on the right path, but also uh you are so tuned in. And when you tune in, it takes all of yourself. And you are
Oh.
expending so much energy being present, being there, letting the energy flow through you, receiving messages. I was like, oh, hell yes. You need to be charging like whatever you moved to because you are worth that plus more. Like,
Mm,
it's a whole experience with you. It's not like I've been to a couple energy healings with other people where I leave feeling like I didn't get what I paid for. And
mm,
that might not have been true. It might have been that I just didn't recognize what they were doing energetically, but I also know it's like an intuitive thing. And with you, it was very clear. I was very clear on what I was getting.
I love that. Hey, if
Mhm.
you're just tuning in, this is the portion of the podcast where we just go back and forth and give each other
Yeah,
shit tons of
compliments.
compliments. Okay, so enough of that. We're both amazing. Y'all heard it here first. Let's talk a little bit about what it's like running your own business. Like, okay, so we talked today, which I love about like how you just had no fear and you just jumped in, but then like now 4 years have happened or
Hmm.
5 years. So what's the hardest part about starting and running your own business? And like, what are some unexpected things that have happened that you want to
Mm.
share?
Unexpected things.
Tell us.
Well, uh, okay. The hardest thing has been addressing the healing that needed to happen. So
Mm,
it's one thing to talk about like you need money to start, you need office supplies, you need an idea of a marketing plan, like all this stuff that they talk about, I'm sure in business classes that I have not taken. Uh, but so much of what you go through in these first 3 years is actually about facing everything that you fear.
mm-hmm.
And so it's less, that's where I think, and this is a part of integrating my spiritual work and my intuition into my business fully is now that I've gone through this experience, I know that it's not just about business tactics. I know that it's not just about having a good logo or a website or a marketing plan or anything. It's actually highly spiritual. It's actually how well are you tapped into yourself? How well can you read your intuition? Are you tapped in, tuned in? Like, and so by starting my business, it's like I accelerated my healing because by starting my business, I had to face my financial fears, which
Mm,
are rooted in a lot of like not feeling safe in my own body, feeling safe in my own space, um, and recognizing that in both my mom and my dad's side, they're, oops, they're making, hope they didn't make noise there. Um, on my in my lineage, there with my ancestors, things have come up through healing around money, and so that's been probably the hardest part is recognizing that a lot of the journey along the way was regulating my nervous system
mm,
and healing, which was, I knew some of that would happen, but I didn't know to what a deep extent it would. And
mm-hmm.
so that's probably the biggest thing I've recognized. Is it some of the things that have surprised me along the way have been, hey, I'm popping in for a moment to let you know that if you're interested in working with me one on one in a small group, or you'd like to attend one of my upcoming retreats, please reach out or add yourself to my email list. You can go to iloveitwhen.org and scroll to the bottom where you'll see there's a spot to sign up. I also love to speak, teach, and create experiences for small, medium, or large size companies. If you know someone that I should know, please connect us. I'm looking to utilize I Love It When to create global change, and that will require collaborating with all of you. You're all so much more powerful than you realize. Remind yourself of that today. I feel like realizing my own power, which is something that I always say to other people, like I just said to you, it's one of the things I love about working with my clients. But I recognized I said that before every retreat when I was working on the real estate team. I said, I want you to help you realize your power. You have no idea how powerful you are. And after like the third or fourth retreat, I recognized I was saying that for myself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. I still am realizing my power now. And
Mm-hmm.
so to have these little things happen along the way, like to still be able to host two different retreats in the last 3.5 years, and having no money, no savings, just going entirely on faith blows my mind that I've been able to pull that off. Uh,
Yeah.
like all the different things that have happened, that starting this podcast, uh, paying my mortgage, paying my bills, keeping my house, like all of those things are big, big things. And they've been big turning points for me in my healing journey and in my
Mm.
business journey.
Mm.
Mhm.
One more compliment for you. You know, the other thing that I think that you're really great at is staying super calm despite what's going on. And this is what you're talking about your nervous system is that
Mhm.
like even if the house like okay, I really want to put it into like a actual thing people can see. Like if your house was on fire,
Mhm.
everyone would have different reactions to it and you'd be like, okay, the house is on fire, here's what we're going to do, step one, step two. Like you're just able to stay really calm despite
Mhm.
high emotions or even exciting
Mhm.
things. This is like one
Mhm.
of the things I love about you too, and that I learned so much from you in watching you do this. It's like I get swept up in even good feelings, like oh yay, let's all like be best friends and like let's go and host 500 million retreats together. And you're like, let's slow down, let's think about it. Like let's take some time to get to know each other. And I'm like, what? No, go, go, go. But like this is one of the things that you're really great at doing is this pause, is this beautiful pause of is this right for me? And then moving forward, which is something that I think is super powerful and unique to you and something that everyone can learn to do, sure. And
Mhm.
this is one of the benefits of coaching with you or
Mhm.
healing or working with you as a healer because you can help people tap into that. But that is so hard. It is
Mhm.
probably, to
Mhm.
me, it seems like the hardest thing in the world to be able to control your emotions, but you do. Like, remember when we were trying to return that rental car in
Oh
Sedona, and I
yes,
was like,
yes.
"You're driving the wrong way," and oh my God, we're running out of time, and like I'm like freaking stressed out, and you're like, oh, "Well, whatever," like we'll figure it out. I'm like, "But we're gonna miss out," and you're just like, "It'll all work
Yeah,
out,"
I
and I'm
think your
like,
flight was gonna leave sooner. So I said, well, you can totally get out of the car now if you want, if it'll help you feel better. Like I can take care of the car. You go. And you were like, oh no, wait, I'll
"I
stay. And
can,
then your
I
flight got
can."
delayed by like exactly the number of minutes that we took to yeah,
Exactly,
it
but
was
like
epic.
that is fucking magic, y'all. That is fucking no one is able to do I shouldn't say no one. Very little people on this planet are actually able to do that, and I think that that's something that's so powerful and so magnificent about you. And one of like the coolest qualities I've ever seen in a person is being able to slow down that much to be like, it's okay. It's going to be okay.
Oh, well, thank you. It's definitely taken training. Like I think I was born like a very mellow and joyful
Mm, mm,
person, happy kid. So I think I've always had this kind of like on any personality test I would take, any assessment I would take, it was always like in the top 2% of most patient people in the world. So there's an
mm,
aspect of that that that's just a part of me. But also I know, uh, I think I just watched so much as a kid and as a young adult. I was observing everybody and everything and I saw what worked. And it's like I'm like this little scientist on the other side of a conversation watching how people operate. And I was
mm,
seeing how, and I saw my mom do this too, like by slowing down and being in the moment and just being present, um, you could help other people feel better by being the calm one. And so I've always just been that way, but then I've really developed it and leaned into it because I recognized too that to honor myself and to honor what feels good for me, sometimes I need a little bit more time. Because
mm.
previous Margaret, old Margaret, who just wanted to make everybody happy, would just say yes right away. Yes, let's do it. Yes, let's go do all those retreats. Because would I love to do all those retreats? Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but if I just hop in and just go full storm, then I'm back to that kind of hustle and grind way. And also, what if there's an easier way to do these retreats? Like, what if there's something else, some other way path we get led down first that makes it much easier for us to host these retreats without such a financial strain? Like, there's always some reason that you
Mm-hmm.
want us to slow down and listen. And once I learned that, then it became more natural. And now my body just loves it. It just loves the feeling of being calm.
And you too could learn these skills by signing up. No, seriously though. But seriously though, it is really true. It is one of the coolest things ever to watch and to learn from and
Oh,
to
thanks.
just I really admire you for it. So
Thanks.
so there's like a million other things I want to talk to you about. I feel like we could literally go on for at least another hour, maybe two. So I want to ask you some personal questions and I want to ask you a couple more work questions. Can I be so bold to ask you which one you'd rather answer first?
Oh,
Work or
personal,
personal? Okay, cool, cool,
personal.
cool. Um, let's talk about little Margaret. Little Margaret
Yay!
is the best. So tell me, all of Margaret is the best, but specifically, my little inner child loves your inner child like so much. It's crazy. So tell me what you were like when you were a child and when you were a teen and a young adult, like the version of you
Mm,
that no one has seen.
hmm I know. I wish there was more video. I don't know that, they didn't have, I think my parents had the first video camera at one of my brother's birthdays, and I might have been like 6 or 7 at that point. But the part of me that I remember and then that I see in photos and that I remember in my own head is very innocent. So, like, 5 years old to 10, innocent,
Mm,
playful, loves to laugh, uh, loves to help. So I would be constantly helping my mom in the kitchen, making stuff, or going with my Aunt Coco to decorate her classroom for her first graders. Love to be a part of everything. And recently I found an old note that my Aunt Coco wrote to me. Um, I think I was in my 30s at the time, but it was about when I was little. And she was like, I love how you could even make like a trip to the grocery store fun. And so I think, I don't know where that comes from, but to this day, it's like the way I live is how do I make everything fun? How do I make a trip to the grocery store fun? How do I make a day staying at home fun? How do I just have fun all the time? And I didn't recognize that I just did that naturally. And it's very entertaining. I don't know if it comes from like learning to just play by myself because I had 3 brothers. So once they were born, I was definitely playing with them as well. But I just love that. I love that feeling of playfulness. It
mhm,
feels really good. So that was definitely little Margaret. And then that is coming back out now in my 30s and 40s. But I would say teenage Margaret and young adult Margaret, oh, very sad, happy at times, but felt very sad and lost a lot of the time and didn't necessarily show that. I think my mom felt it because I would share things with her, but it was like things would stay stuck inside until they just busted out. So I was not as open about sharing, even
mm,
though we talked a lot about sharing at home. It was definitely something my mom encouraged, and I would share with her, but not until I got to the breaking point. And that was a big lesson for me. But yeah, feeling very lost, feeling like nobody knew me, nobody wanted to hear me, nobody wanted to be friends with me, um, and not understanding people. Like being in high school, and I remember telling my mom, why are people like this? People don't get it. Like, why are people mean? Why do people have cliques? What is this clique thing all about? I do not understand this world. What is the
yeah.
fucking point?
Wow.
Yeah. So if I'd had more awareness over options, I might have opted for a different school. Like I could have gone to my mom and she would have been totally, totally down for this and been like, hey, could I go to an alternative school? Because I think if I were able to go to some of these schools that exist now, especially in the Pacific Northwest, pick my own classes, do stuff that was more hands-on and also around people who were more, I think, just open-minded and curious. Like I was just so done with high school. And then I remember like, okay, once I get to college, it'll feel better. And it was better, but there was still a part of me that was just really unhappy because I wasn't fully being myself yet. I was still exploring um, and getting research, I think, on especially religion and dating. At one point, I was like, maybe I'm just not supposed to be with anyone, male,
Mm,
female. non-binary, doesn't matter. Like maybe I'm just supposed to be single my whole life because it takes a lot for me to be emotionally and romantically involved with someone. And I just didn't think I was going to find someone that I would really deeply connect with because I'm a deep connector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relentless love.
Relentless love. And it's intense. My intensity is a lot for people. Sometimes I'm okay with that now, but little Margaret and teenage and young adult Margaret had a really hard time with not understanding why people couldn't connect on that level or didn't want to.
Hmm. I love
Mhm.
that. I love that. So
Yeah.
you were saying that like when you were a child, so joyful, now so joyful, common denominator, fun. What do you do for fun? What is, so you can find fun in everything. I love that. I love that. Put it on
Mhm.
a bumper sticker, y'all. Slap it on the back of your minivan. But what do you like what activities do you seek out to do for fun?
Oh, travel,
Okay.
which involves, it's like, oh my God, I don't know why, but it's just like everything fun all wrapped into one. Like going somewhere new, packing up my clothes, packing up my Oracle cards, what am I going to take with me? Going in a car, getting snacks, like they're spending the night somewhere I don't know, like seeing the water. I don't know. There's something about that that's just like an adventure. I think adventure.
Mhm.
So like adventures out are my absolute favorite. Like eventually I want to live a life where I'm staying at a VRBO somewhere else at least once a month, just on the regular, staying somewhere different, whether it be around the PNW or somewhere around the world. But travel is my jam. I love trying new foods, meeting new people, and then I get to be my introverted self and go home and just like cuddle up for a full day and not see anybody for a day if I want to. Uh, but I think it's the movement of energy too. Now that I think about it, like it's different perspectives, different
Mhm.
landscapes. I get to be in a different space and it makes me, it like allows me to be very reflective, which I
Mm.
like. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is my jam. Like that. I also love concerts, music. Um,
But you're very selective about your movie choices, people. People
very
learn
selective.
some, everybody's learning a little something new. And this is also something really interesting about yourself, though. Like, this is something that I learned really early on that we have a lot of similar tastes in shows and movies and things like that. But
Anne of Green Gables, maybe.
A Little House on the Prairie, maybe?
Little House in the. Oh yeah, that's right. That's the first one.
Both of those. Chris and I were just talking last night about that. Like, which should we watch first? And with an E, Little House on the Prairie. Should we eat sushi? Drink green juice? What should we do first? But I love this is something unique about you that I want our listeners in on the real Margaret Smith. Here we
My
go.
God.
Tell us, and you know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the meat of it. Tell us how weird you are about movies. It's not weird. It's actually
I'm
super
super
smart.
weird. Super
It's
weird.
it's super smart, and everyone should be doing it.
Well, I always knew, like we've talked about a little bit today, about how much everything influences you,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know to like protect that part of myself, or I didn't allow myself to really think about what do I allow into my space. Well, I just recognized that when I watch movies, I feel the feelings of the characters. I do deeply. And so whenever there was a scary movie, I would just say, oh, like sometimes I actually forced myself to watch it. If I was with certain people, like they just wanted to watch, okay, I'll just watch it. And I would just hide my head under a pillow or a blanket half the time. And then I might have nightmares, or it just added an extra layer of anxiety to my body and to my brain. And so I started to again, when I got into personal development in that real estate team back in 2012 to 2014, that was when I recognized, oh, I'm reading so much because we had to read to talk about it at our team meetings, which caused me to start to watch less TV at night after work. And I started to recognize how good that felt. And so I just continued it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stop something like that, it's kind of like when you change your diet, like when you go off, let's say you cut out dairy for a month and then you try to integrate it back in to see if your body reacts to it. If I try to integrate back in a scary movie or a movie that has to do with where kids are being hurt or
Mm-hmm.
anything bad is happening to people, uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have to turn it off or I'll walk out of the room. Like if other people want to watch it, that's fine. but it actually affects my ability to remain calm. It affects my equilibrium, my peace, it affects me to such a level that it will affect my work. And so
Mm-hmm.
when that happens, like I'm protecting that at all costs because I believe that's my duty
Mm-hmm.
as a healer, but it's also
Mm-hmm.
my duty to myself. Like I want to put myself in a place where I feel really good so that I can continue doing the work that I love, so I can continue doing the good work for the world. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm super strict about movies, TV, and music, even. What are the words that I'm listening to? All of that.
Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorite Margaret facts for sure.
Oh,
It
thank
is.
you.
I think it's really, really neat because I think so many of us just endlessly are like, oh, here's this cool new show and da 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 da
Hmm.
da. And then
Hmm.
like not realizing that some of that is part of our emotional problems
Oh,
is
yeah, it
that
takes you on a ride.
mm-hmm,
Takes you on a total ride.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially if you're someone who's super sensitive to energy or super sensitive to
Hmm.
like things like okay back in the day we weren't watching mass genocide for fun, you know what I mean, like in a like you know
Yes.
in like these big Hollywood movies that are mass produced actions
Yes.
movies, you know what I mean, like we've just made it so commonplace, but that would have been so disturbing, people wouldn't have ever been able to like clear it from their brain back in the day.
Hmm.
Like think about it, in the Little House on Prairie days they would have never been able to clear that. They would have been like, yikes, and then this one time this witch showed me this movie or whatever moving
Yes.
picture, and I don't know, it messed me up for life, and I think
Yeah.
we've just taken that for granted in this modern
Hmm.
world, and it's a really
Hmm.
cool thing about you that people should know.
Well,
um
thank you.
I want to bounce back to business, and then I want
Okay.
to end with
Okay.
some past and present things.
Ooh.
Stay tuned, y'all.
I might have to
Okay.
have you do some little mini commercials for me. I'm really liking these breaks.
Fireball. Yeah, I like it too. Um, how are you different? Okay, so we talked a little bit today about different kind of coaches, different kind of healers.
Hmm.
How are you different from other coaches and healers? What do you view as the things that stick out to you?
That's a great question because this recently came up from a coaching client. She referred me to another person who she thinks needs to coach with me. And one of the things I've recognized is a really simple thing. One, I give homework, and I guess there's other coaches who don't. But for me, again, staying in an integrity, the thing that helps me to feel like I'm in integrity is when people are making progress.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to coach you and if I don't see like stuff taking place and change happening, I'm not happy with myself, primarily as a coach. And you shouldn't be happy with me either. So I give action steps that sometimes people don't understand. And I said, it's okay if you don't understand. You just got to trust me for these first couple of months till you start to see the ROI. But
Mm-hmm.
there are action steps that you do between sessions with me, and they're very intentional. I think about them, I meditate on them, they come through me, and I then kind of decipher and discern depending on where you're at and how much you've got going on in your workload, both personally and professionally. I decipher and discern, okay, what's the appropriate amount to give them. But apparently, doing that homework and then following up with them between sessions, apparently, that's not something that a lot of other coaches do. But I think it's really important for the progress to take place. And a lot of that happens between sessions, not in the 45 minutes you get with me, but in the
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks between session one and session two. There's so
Mm-hmm.
much, like, that's where the good stuff's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So giving homework, I would say, is one. And then I'd say other thing that's different about me too is I feel like one of the things that I'm meant to do is reflect back to people like what their genius zone is. So I feel like I see the highest and best potential with someone when I meet with them. And that can be amazing, an amazing gift. And it can also be really hard because as a coach and as a human, I am like, oh my God, but I see this version of you. And this version of you is empowered and brave and courageous and making good money and has a healthy family. And I see this version of you. But if that person's not ready to go there yet, that's when I need to kind of rein it in a bit as a coach and just recognize, okay, they're not quite ready for that level yet, Margaret. Take baby steps, baby steps.
Mm-hmm.
But because I see that version of you, I know what's possible. And so I'm going to gently nudge you and push you out of your control zone. I like that. My friend Crystal calls it that. Nudge it. I'm going to nudge you out of your control zone so that you can recognize some of this power. Because when you do, then I think it's very encouraging and empowering as a client to recognize your power. It helps you gain courage to take another step.
Snowball effect.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the things that
I
come to
think.
mind.
Hold on, I
Yeah,
think you're frozen. Snow. Sn- I think we were frozen there for a
I
minute.
think we were too.
Okay. I
Can you hear me
like that
now?
though. Yes, I can hear you now. Can you hear
Okay,
me now?
good. I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, great. I said that it's like a snowball effect. Your
Hmm.
coaching then is like, okay, now
Totally.
we have one piece and now it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger
Yes,
until
building that foundation, big deal for me. Yeah.
okay,
Hmm.
so now the person that just listened to that was like, that's me. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Hmm.
Who is your dream client?
Oh.
Let's seal the deal now. So they're listening and they're like, that was me. Now let's seal the deal and tell them
Let's seal the deal.
this is who I'm dying to work with. Maybe not dying, let's use our words right. This is who I am ready and
Mm.
excited to work with.
Mm.
Dream
My
client.
ideal dream client is someone who's coming to me. They recognize the value of coaching already. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
dream here, dream. They
Got it.
recognize the value. They're willing to put in the work. They sign up to work with me for a year and they're open-minded, curious, and playful. I don't care what industry you work in. I don't even care if you don't have a job, but you as
Okay.
a human are looking to up level and gain more awareness and have fun doing it. That is my dream.
Sign up with a link. She sees you. She's ready for
I
you.
see
Here we
you.
go.
Mm.
Um, all right. I want to, there's so many other questions I want to ask. I really wish we could do this for 400 million hours, but it does
Well,
feel
we could
like,
always do a part two to it.
yeah, maybe clamor for it in the comments, people,
Glamour.
and we will come back
Oh, I
and we
like
will
that.
do a part two. We
Yes.
want to hear from you. Comment down below more
No, I
and more.
appreciate this because I think this is also yeah, more and more and more. I think this is also helping me uh like put words to things that I've had in my head for a long time
Yeah,
and that I don't really think people need to hear, but they hearing this might help someone see
yeah.
themselves in me. So I think this is really super helpful.
I think it's a really interesting episode too. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm a frequent flyer myself, and I think that this is a really something different and a way
Hmm.
for people to get to know
Oh
you
yeah. I don't
in a
talk about any of this kind of stuff that you've asked me with unless somebody asks or thinks to
yeah.
ask, which most people don't. I don't talk about it. So
Thanks, EnMay. Thanks, EnMay, for the suggestion. So let's end with one question, two parts.
Ooh.
What would you tell your younger self, and what would you tell your older self from where you sit right now?
Ooh. Hmm. I would tell my younger self that it's okay to be different. And in fact, it's your superpower. And so really lean
Ooh,
into it. And
spirit confirmation just happened too. My lights all just flickered. Boom. Okay, got it. Keep going.
oh,
Sorry.
cool. No, because I was gonna say in Little Margaret wouldn't might not even know this word yet, but it was don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Oh yeah. Get the
Yeah.
F word
Yeah.
out. That's right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Because I think she really needed to hear that when she was like 5. Super young for the F word, but I think I learned the F word around 7 or 8, so
She can fucking handle it.
she can fucking handle it. And older Margaret, oh,
Hmm.
have so much fucking fun. Yeah, because she is having a lot of fun. She's having a lot of fun with a lot of ease and a lot of playfulness and just like, yeah,
Don't
marinate in
remember to,
that deliciousness.
yeah, don't forget to have fun.
Yeah.
That's the core. I think that
Mhm.
that's something that we've gotten to today too. That's like really at your core, fun.
100%.
Yeah, fun is you.
Hmm.
So magically fun and delicious. Everybody move your bodies and comment down below.
Oh my God,
Like,
Tom would totally
subscribe.
agree with that too.
Like, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications, y'all. Hit them.
Seriously, this is like I'm like imagining you doing this as a commercial for me. It feels so right.
I will do it. I will fucking do that commercial for you with my pop filter and my good sound system. So,
Oh God.
anyway, y'all, listen. You heard it here first. Sign up to work with Mo because she's awesome and amazing and real. So if you're done with all the fake stuff and want something real, Sign up with the link in your bio. No. But seriously, thank you everyone for joining this very special
Oh.
podcast and for getting to know Mo or Margaret a little bit deeper. Oh,
Hmm.
can we tell people why you're called Mo? Can we end
Sure.
with that actually? Because I think people are like, wait, what the is your name Mo or Margaret or what the hell? Why?
Totally. The little story behind that is when I was in college, um, I think I started it. I probably did because I really wanted a nickname because everybody else had a nickname, but I'm like always just Margaret. And it's just Margaret is a very formal name. And before I really loved it, I was like, this feels too formal. I was named after my grandmother. It was an older name. And so I was like, you guys, give me a nickname, please, please. And they were like, how about Greta? We tried that for a couple weeks, didn't stick. It was cute.
Yeah.
Greta, my dad calls me Margarita. And then somebody suggested Mo, and I don't know who it was, but somebody said Mo. And that just started to stick. But a couple of my friends at the time said, oh, it's not feminine enough for you. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, okay. But I just always remembered it. And then, yeah. And then it wasn't until really I was playing volleyball in a co-ed league. And then I joined the real estate team. And somehow it's like it came back up and it really stuck. And people in real estate just really like embraced it and started
Hmm.
calling me all that. And I think when people call me Mo, it feels endearing to them. Like it feels like almost like they get to another level with me, like they're closer to me when they say it Mo instead of Margaret. And so
Hmm.
it's just stuck. So I like both. I like when people call me Margaret. I like when people just call me Mo. People have said, can't you just pick one? And I'm like, no, I don't have to.
Mm.
So I like
Mm.
both.
Yeah, I like
Mhm.
both too. Chris always
Mhm.
says, Chris is my husband, just in case you remember. I didn't pick that up yet from the podcast, but he always says to me, whenever I talk about you as a friend
Yeah,
or like as like, like in that kind of capacity, I always call you Margaret. And when I talk about anything to do with business or anything to do with like collabs or
that's
anything like that,
interesting.
I always call you Mo. And he noticed that. And
So
he's
your
like,
brain has separated it out. Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
"What's up with Margaret today?" If he hears us on Marco or something, because he knows like we're talking like friend, you know what I mean? So like
That's
that's
cute.
it's my distinction. That's I
I
guess my
like it.
but
I
you
like
just
it.
described it as the opposite, which I love too. So like it's your own unique experience with Margaret Most. You choose.
You
You
choose.
choose.
Choose your adventure.
You choose. You choose what you call me. So anyway, thank you for ending with that because I think, yeah, that's a question that thousands, if not millions of us had. We were all like, what is with the two names? Give us the dates. So thank you
Oh my God.
everyone so much again for joining this podcast. I don't know how to sign off, so we're just gonna
We'll just
awkwardly
awkwardly end it.
end it here.
Boom.
Why are you